So we're going to start by building a painting in layers, and it's going to be completely intuitive. So I'm going to just dump out my paints. Whatever you have is fine. If you're using watercolors, acrylics, it doesn't matter. I've got a big bag of paints right here, and I don't know what's really calling to me in terms of color, but I am just going to have a look at them. And I've still got my intention, hopefully you've set yours, in terms of what this painting is going to be all about. And it's in the back of my mind. I'm not even going to share it with you, but what's calling me is some of this pale umber. Might not be a popular color that you have. This brown is calling to me, and also this blue. So just a little tip for you, don't choose too many colors, because it just turns into a soup, and just keep light with it. So it's like, yep, I've got my colors, 3 is great, I'm happy with that and it feels right, and I'm gonna start just by putting some. You can put more paint at the beginning of building an intuitive painting or a mandala than less, and then you don't want to waste paint because it's probably expensive. These are really good quality paints. These are Winsor and Newton, so I do recommend that you get good quality paints, especially if you're going to go further with your painting. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you go dark or light to start, because the idea here is that we're building up a painting, and so every time you feel like, oh, this isn't looking so good, or you want to change something, the nice thing about acrylics is that you can keep building on top of them. Now with watercolors, if that's what you've chosen to use, I would say have watercolors and also have acrylics, because the watercolor could be the base or the first layer of the painting, and then the acrylics you can actually wait for the whole thing to dry and put acrylics on top. With acrylics as well, and why I choose to use them, is because you can actually mix it on the painting. So if you have a little bit of wetness with the acrylic painting, not quite dry yet, then you can mix paint on top of there, but that's to come. The first thing we're going to do is put your hands on your canvas or your paper. Put your intention into it. And I've totally got it. It's very, very clear to me. Use probably a big brush. Doesn't have to be a good quality big brush. And use water, especially if you are afraid right now to use water and you instantaneously go and you're like, yeah, I'm going to put this paint on here and then I'm going to paint. I would highly recommend covering the whole entire thing with paint, let it dry, and then you can go to a second canvas or a second piece of paper and you can start on that. So because we're looking at mandalas, and mandalas are in circles, that's what I'm going to do right now, is keep in mind that I'm going to start with a very big circle. Because I'm keeping this intention that this is a mandala creation, and parts of this circle are going to come out. I don't have any idea what this is going to end up looking like, obviously, and that's the whole beauty of mandala creation and painting. But I'm starting anyway with a circle. And then I'm going to move this a little bit differently, and you have my big brush and lots of water, and something here is like, yeah, do something that's really wet, Satyana. And be afraid, don't be afraid. Be afraid not to just go for it. And the reason I'm outside here today is because this part of the painting can get really messy if you're feeling like you're in a messy kind of mood, which I obviously didn't even know that I was, but I'm having a good time already. So and I'm liking the swirling. You won't get that effect if you're going really dry, but I'm liking the swirling that's happening here, and I'm liking the flick. This is the most fun part of intuitive painting. If you want to have a good time and like not beat yourself up over how something is actually going to end up looking, your cares of how something is ending up looking are not in this particular time. And then I'm feeling like, there's certain elements in this mandala that I want to make. Like part of it, of my intention here, is about abundance. And so it's like, it's actually a big part in what's coming out. It's like, how much abundance do I want? Well, actually, I want like as much as the universe is actually going to give me, which is probably half of this painting. It's a lot. Because we all deserve a lot of abundance. So if I'm looking at time, you know, we all don't have like tons of time, but you've obviously got this as an intention, is to help you learn and change the way that you might be painting right now. Also to create abundance. It's like I'm going to pick one more color here because the other half of what this intention is with my abundance is acting from the heart. And so the color of the heart is oftentimes green. Heart chakra, green, love. And again, I don't want to use too many colors, but I kind of want to have it swirling a little bit around in my mind with this, the first layer, this first circle, and I want to keep the circle somehow going. I'm part of a women's abundance circle, actually, and what's coming out here as I create this particular painting for me is like, I want to honor those people that are in that circle, and every time I make a painting, have some piece of those women in this painting, or in all of my paintings, not just this one. You can see that I want to do like a little bit of different techniques or brush strokes, and feel free to play with it a little bit. So mixing up kind of the abundance element, the love element, and all these women that I'm thinking of. And what's coming out as I do this is that there's a lot of women in the world that deserve abundance. And each time I put this down through my brush, it's almost like it's representing to me what that is, how many women are out there that are deserving of this thing and don't know how to do it. And if you're doing this module, there's some way that is going to access that to you intuitively. It's what is this mandala going to do that's going to create that abundance, and that is what's coming as to what is going to happen in this painting. So if you're looking at time, take about 20 minutes, that's it, to do this first part, and then let it be. So the idea of mandala painting and intuitive painting is that there are no mistakes. And so this may seem like it's feeling a bit soupy, and it does feel that way to me right now, but I've kept the circular structure of the mandala, and I've played a little bit with throwing some paint on there, and I'm keeping my intention there. And then I'm going to put it aside so there's still a little bit of wetness happening. I can go back to it in my second layer of painting, a little bit wet, or a lot wet, or completely dry. And when you play with this kind of painting work, you'll see what you enjoy the most. For me, it's putting the wet and the dry together actually on the canvas. So that's the first layer of building an intuitive painting. And I want to show you some examples as well of other paintings that I've worked on, because sometimes I'll work on 3 or 4 at one time, and have the idea that you don't just have to keep working on one painting. You can go in between, set your intention and reset your intention through just a 1-minute meditation. What was this painting about? This one, for example, I've worked on it 3 times, and it's about strength. My own pillar of strength, and I even wrote in there with like the I wrote it with this end of the brush because the paint was so thick and I really wanted that message to be in there. The painting still isn't finished, but I just wanted to show you that what you can do when you've worked on something 2 times or 3 times. So I will go back to working on this too. Another one that I've also worked on and other people have worked on is here, and this is about basically creation and fertility because there's some eggs going on here. You can see my style of the wetness, but you can see other people's styles too. So if you've got somebody, a friend, or someone that's interested in doing art with you, then I would encourage putting that person's work into your painting if you want to go that far in your let go phase to actually be adding another element of creativity to your work. The last thing I want to show you is something complete. A couple of things that are complete. So this has been worked on several times, probably 8, 9, 10 times, in terms of getting the detail that I want and using a stroke that I am going to teach called dry brushing. So it brings out layers into the painting by going over something many, many times. So this one I think is almost complete. I'm not sure. Haven't done anything with it yet. And that's, again, up to you intuitively. And this one is complete. So I actually went into the detail part of adding in different elements of eyes and swirls and ribs because that's what was happening at that time in the painting. So you can finish a painting when it feels finished to you, that many paintings that you will do in this course will be unfinished until you get to finishing them. That's the idea.